Joining me now are Democratic strategist Joel Payne and former spokesperson for the California Republican Party, Jen Kerns. Joel, I'll start with you. Omarosa is not going away. She's not going anywhere anytime soon. Do you think the president is worried? Does he have some fear about what she might have? And more importantly, maybe, do voters even care about what she's saying and what she might have?
I don't think voters care anything about this. I think this is fodder for folks like Jen and myself and probably a lot of people in D.C. where I'm from. Listen, this is what the president has wrought to politics. He's brought this type of circus element, this type of three-ring circus to politics. This is almost like all of the tactics that the president has really perfected being used against him, using tapes, using hyperbole, the misspeaking about Nixon and talking about Trump, all of that. She learned that from Donald Trump. So there's a poetic justice to Donald Trump having to deal with this right now.
So, Jen, last week we heard from Sarah Huckabee Sanders that she couldn't guarantee that we would never hear a recording of the president using the N-word. And now there's this reporting from the Associated Press about Omarosa again saying that she has a stash of video, emails, text messages, and other documentation supporting the claim in her tell-all book about her time in the Trump White House. If you're a member of the Trump team, if you're the team and you're in the White House and you're listening to this, you're hearing about this, are you getting nervous at this point?
Well, look, I hope that for her own sake, Omarosa does have more tapes, because the two I've heard are actually pretty damaging against her. What we've heard from General Kelly, we were talking earlier about a Navy admiral that has all this integrity. Well, guess what? General Kelly is the rank of a general. He knows a thing or two about integrity. And it seems to me from the first tape that was released, he was suggesting that she had misused federal property. She had violated a non-disclosure agreement, violated White House ethics, and may have actually broken the law. We don't know exactly why she was fired in the national security room. It might have been because she was trying to access information that she shouldn't have been. The second tape shows she was offered a posh job, $15,000 a month. Looks pretty out of touch to me with the American people.
So here's all that hush money, by the way.
Well, look, what I think people are most interested in is where were the Democrats, all these fans of Omarosa, when she was reaching out to the African American community? Did you know that the Congressional Black Caucus in June of 2017 actually rejected an invitation to meet at the White House and talk about unity and talk about race relations and improving those, because they were at the lowest point in American history under Barack Obama? And you know why they rejected it? Because the invitation name said it was from Omarosa. They didn't like her. They didn't like that she was a Republican, and they didn't like that she was working for a Republican president.
Jen, now you're such a kind person. We've met, we've become friends here, but I got to disagree with you. Number one, everything that's happening right now, by the way, with Omarosa is proof positive why the CBC wanted nothing to do with her. While we appreciate the fact that she's holding the president accountable here, this does not defend the fact that she needs an N-word tape to figure out if Donald Trump is a racist. I don't need a tape to figure out if somebody's racist. So if she needed a tape to figure out whether Donald Trump was bigoted, if she didn't look at all the things that happened on the campaign trail, all the things he had done in the White House, then no, the CBC has no use for her leading a meeting on African-American issues. She is no authority on that.
They could, even more powerful, they could have said, Mr. President, we'll come to the White House and meet with you, but we don't want her at that meeting, if they felt that strongly about her. And I'll tell you where the American voters actually disagree with you. African-American support of this president is up today. If you look at, during the campaign, he was made fun of because he said, quote unquote, the blacks love me. Turns out that's actually true.
That's
he got
absolutely
elected
untrue.
with 8%,
Jen, that's not true.
8% of African-American vote when he was elected,
and I know
only 8%. And 18% at the 1 year mark, 18% of African Americans now support him in his approval ratings. Just today, USA Today, don't believe me, USA Today and other liberal publications said his approval rating now, according to Rasmussen reports, is at 36%
and that's exactly why I don't
of African Americans.
No,
you can't ignore the language that's out there, though. I mean, the fact we see a tweet where the president refers to a woman as a dog.
I don't approve of that. And look, I was a writer for one of the main presidential debates, the one with the dust up where there was the female question. So my record's very clear on where I stand on women's issues and minority issues. My grandfather was Hispanic.
No,
but look,
is that a whistle to support?
You know what, Aaron? Here's the problem, and this is what Republicans want to have. And again, I like Jen, but this is what Republicans want to do. Same thing with Brennan that we're going to talk about here in a minute. They want to reject all of the ugly nature of Trumpism, but they don't want to accept all of the responsibility for everything that comes with it. So you can't allow Donald Trump to mainline hatred, bigotry, blowing out institutions, blowing out all the norms that we expect from our president, and then say as a Republican, oh, I don't like that part, but I like this part. I like the piece that fits into our narrative, but I don't like the part that I have to own about his behavior that I've allowed him to mainline into our party. You're not allowed to do that.
Well, look, I'm not the one who's saying that they support him. The African Americans at 36% are saying they support him.
A nonsense poll.
And Rasmussen poll. No.
I know what I'm talking about. I polled African American voters every single day on the campaign.
Rasmussen was one of the only 3 correct, accurate pollsters who called the 2016 presidential election accurately.
We don't use the Rasmussen polling at NBC.
Everybody watching at home, Aaron, that's not true. Jen, I like you.
True.
Rasmussen is the most unreliable poll you could use ever.
No, Washington Post has written about it. Rasmussen was one of only 3 pollsters that called the 2016 presidential election correctly.
It's
true.
We'll leave your take on it there. We, again, don't use Rasmussen here at NBC, but I had a whole lot of other questions for you. We're out of time, though. So I appreciate you both being here. Jen Kerns,
this is
Joel
going on
Payne.
in every neighborhood in America, by the way.
And I'm sure you two will continue in the hallway.
We just won't talk about polling.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. When we come back.